All right, fifth graders, this lesson is all about expressions. Now, you might have heard of expressions before, and I'm not talking about facial expressions. I'm talking about expressions in math. So expressions are ways that we can show how numbers in a situation are related. So say I have 2 cookies and you have 3 cookies, and we put them together. That's an expression. It's showing how these 2 numbers are connected. They're connected by addition. Or I have 10 pieces of paper and I give away 5. That is an expression. Notice it's not an answer like we typically think of it. Usually we think of an answer as a number, but sometimes we don't get a number as an answer, and it's actually, it looks something like this. Now, these are both called numerical expressions because they just have numbers and operations. Okay? So you'll want to write this in your notebook to show, okay, these are numerical numbers and operations. This could say something like, Susan has 10 apples and 6 oranges. How many fruits does she have? If we were just going to write an expression, we could just write, okay, 10 apples and 6 oranges. She has 10 plus 6 fruits. Okay? Now, some of you are dying to put an answer and say, it's 16. But the reason we're not doing that is because some type of expressions called algebraic expressions have variables, and variables are essentially letters. They stand for numbers we don't know. Okay, stand for unknown numbers. So numbers we do not know. So if I said Juan has X apples and 8 oranges, how many fruits does he have? Well, if he has X apples and 8 oranges, all I can say is that he has X plus 8. We don't know how many apples he has, so we just have to use a letter. It's an unknown. It could change. Okay, so that's why we call them variables, because vary means to change. So they're numbers that can change, so we just use a letter instead. Now, for this assignment, you are going to be writing algebraic expressions. So it might say something like add 5 to z. Okay, so I'm going to start with z. I'm going to add 5. That is my answer. It's not just a number, it's not just a letter, it's an expression. We could say subtract z from 10. Now this gets a little confusing because sometimes people just want to write z minus 10 because they're like subtraction minus z and 10. But if we're subtracting z from 10, that means we start with 10 and we take away z. Say you were taking 2 cookies away from 10. You wouldn't do 2 minus 10. You would start with what you have, and then you would take away from that. So a lot of times in subtraction, we need to flip-flop those. So beware of that. With addition, technically we need to as well, but it matters less because we can add in any order according to the commutative property. We can also have multiplying and dividing. So we could say have, it might just say multiply f and 6. Oops, sorry, 6. So we could say f times 6. We start to avoid the x's times because it looks like another letter. So sometimes we can use a dot. Sometimes we can just put them next to each other. Although usually if we do that, we put the number first. So I get 6f. 6f means 6 times f. I think that's yeah, how we could write it. We could also say like 5 groups of p, and that also means multiplying. We could have divide 22 by p. So 22 divided by p. We can also write that as 22 over p, because that means division as well. That fraction bar means dividing. So this is what you're doing for your assignment. You're just writing simple expressions. So this is what your assignment looks like. So there's 10 problems where you need to write down the expression. Now notice sometimes it has sort of a part in here that's also an expression. So let's look at number 8. 12 less than 5s. Okay, well let's think, okay, what does less than mean? Okay, less than means minus, but it's less than 5s. So that means we need to start with 5s, and we're taking away 12. So if it has like 5s or 3k or something like that, we keep that as a group. Or divide 5d by 4. 5d, we're dividing that by 4. Or we could write 5d divided by 4. Notice I haven't written any equal signs because expressions don't have equal signs. They're just the numbers and the operations and sometimes variables. All of the ones you're writing will have variables. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. The code word for today is the. The is the code word for this lesson. So good luck, and again, let me know if you have any questions or need any more help.